This is the season of amplification. This is a special season for those who grew in their reverence for God while going through the turmoil of the COVID pandemic. You are now in position for a level change. And when I say a level change, it's not a level up, but a level of depth. See, it's an Eurocentric perspective to think the higher you go in life, the closer to God you become. But in ancient African wisdom, it tells us that it is the depth of your knowledge, the depth of your wisdom, the depth of your understanding, and how you allow it to live through you in your actions that gives you the opportunity to get behind the veil where God exists. This is a special season for those who have a healthy fear in God and not in a COVID mutation or a variant that continues to put restraints on our old way of living. Because in the depth of our understanding, we know that change is imminent, and our ability to adapt to change will reflect on how we fulfill God's purpose in our lives. We are still on mission, regardless of the COVID pandemic. This season of amplification is a special season for those who spent God's currency wisely. And that's that extra time we were given to spend in our households, to fortify our relationships with our families. That extra time we had to edify our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, so we become more prepared to walk in this new beginning. This is a special season. See, the number 22 is considered a master number because it duplicates and amplifies divine energy. At this moment in time, for the next 365 days, you are getting double the strength, double the creativity, double the protection, double the drive and determination, double the love. This season of amplification, yes, you are made ready for your spiritual breakthrough of 22. Everything is in your reach, but it's still up to you to go get it. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Of course, we're giving that message to all the things that we do, but welcome to the first show of the year of Afristream in 22. So we thank all those who have watched the beginning and the development of Afristream, and as we continue to put this together and bring some community voices in it, and take a look at the news or the topics of the diaspora from a Pan-African perspective, we completely thank you. I'm watching over here. I got so many things going on. I'm watching over here, and something's happening with Facebook. What? I don't know. So it looks like it's streaming, but I'm unable to share it, and that's what I'm trying to do. Make sure that this is on all the pages, and we, I have a multitude of pages, and we're going to refresh that page and see if it allows us to get it to our partners pages. Yeah, let's see if this works right here. Give it to us. Okay, well, and it's still running slow. So we're going to continue with today's conversation and what's going on in the world today. But before we begin, we want to make sure that you always, if you're watching on Facebook, you like, comment, share. This is how we get the word out. Like, comment, and share. We're producing our own algorithms for the liberation of black people, algorithm for the enlightenment of our children, algorithms for the development of our communities, algorithms that keep us together. So if you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get everything that we do on every day of the week when we are streaming live. We have, let me switch over here because we're continuing with our setup, which is Sunday night. We have, or Sunday afternoon, excuse me, Sunday afternoon, we have Akibaland Inspirational Sunday. Then we have African Speaks, and hopefully y'all were able to tune in because we had a special African Speaks Wednesday night because we had the special guest. He was supposed to show up on Tuesday. He didn't get a chance to show up on Tuesday, but I did the session on Tuesday. We did a session on Wednesday, and here we are this evening. Afristream. All right, so we want to make sure you make it on the Tuesday evenings, and since I was able to back, we might find to do something on Wednesday. Saturday at 1, we have African history class. Saturday at 2, we have African spirituality class. Please make sure you are there for your edification. Ain't that something? We said we've been in the home and been isolated and been under restrictions due to COVID. And so we said that was going to be a major part of our conversation today. However, before we begin, we want to make sure we switch to the newsroom, that we understand that this is about the rise of the African. This is connected to the world of Akiba Land's a mission to create a global experience where we can create the leadership for the Pan African community, through our children. And so we are embarking on the rise of the African. In somebody we were talking the other day, and we said, how is it that it's hard for black people to work together? I said, well, we need to raise a generation up strictly on self-determination, giving them the tools, not just talking about it, but giving them the tools that they need to be able to interact, connect, and build in this highly technological world. So the social media Pan-African movement, we're asking you to embark on and connect on. So this is that like, comment, and share. Please be a part of that and watch our community grow. Now, tonight's conversation, we were talking about Omicron. Now, wait, let me get here. Let me bring this on. There we go. We had to get behind the desk. I had to get behind the desk. Now, we're talking about Omicron. And a lot of times I stay away from COVID because I'm not I'm not trying to sway anybody to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine, but we're going to stay neutral and we're going to look at some facts and we're going to discuss the facts and we're going to have a Pan-African perspective on the facts. And so when we're talking about Omicron, I'm going to bring in the conversation with South Africa. Now, I have a friend in the medical industry. And so when we talked about the South African president making a statement, and I believe I posted it on one of the shows, where the South African president made a statement that they wanted to have control over creating their own vaccines for their own population. Now, of course, they were told, no, we're going to give you the vaccine already packaged, already made, already given. So all you got to do is inject it. Wait, send us over, release your control of the patent. Let us see the ingredients and let us create a vaccine according to our population, knowing our genotype. Woo, let's talk. Knowing our genotype, we could create the vaccine strictly because they don't make medicine on behalf of people of African descent. They just don't. There's 7 genotypes that they use, and I think Yeah. That's why most medicines don't really work in Africa, because they don't make them for Africans. One study I was doing, the sister was doing a research on a Sahara Desert African tribe, or I believe, please, it was years ago. It was about 5 years ago. Anyway, the statement that I remembered, she said, in order to understand what how to heal a sick body, you have to know what a healthy body looks like. So all medical research should be studied upon the healthy cells of Africans, because if you want to know what a human being, a superhuman, should feel like or look like, you got to look at healthy Africans, because they have the most purest form of DNA, the strands of DNA, the genotype they have. It is the strongest form. And so if you're trying to get individuals to mimic their DNA, you need to study their DNA. And that's what she was doing, studying African DNA, studying melanin. Let's talk about that too. And so how it makes them strong. One of the Africans in that conversation was telling her, he said, because he said they are able to live 7 days in the desert without water. This particular tribe, 7 days without water. And he looked at her and he said, you are trying to find out why I can live 7 days in the desert without water. It is in my blood. It is in my blood. I am born. I'm created for this atmosphere, this experience, or I am superhuman. I am, when you're comparing African genotype to any other people's. Yes, I am superhuman. And so that's what she was studying. Now, when the president of South Africa made the request that South Africa does not want to receive vaccines from you, can you please, because we want to let our youth know, the engineers and individuals who are in the science of pandemics, right? I can't say the word right now. I always get tongue tied. It's a they want to be able to offer the technology, the opportunity to build and save their own people by dealing with themselves, right? And so they were told no by the government. You're just going to take what we give you, put it inside the little your syringes, and you're going to inoculate all of them, everybody that comes your way. He says, look, we'll deal with the issue we have with inoculation on our own terms, but we want to at least give the our people the satisfaction that this particular vaccine, we studied what the CDC came up with, the America came up with, versus what we come up with, and what we're giving you is something that is geared to our population. Wow, ain't that something? And they said no. You're going to take what we give you. Then he said, and this is, he paused and he said, that is what you did during colonialism. Telling us what we're going to do is what you did during colonialism. And those days are over, and we're no longer accepting colonialism. We want the ability to be self-determined and feel like we can be a part of this world structure. And so when I mentioned that to a friend of mine who was in the medical field, she says, no names, hopefully you're watching this. If not, I'm going to call you about this afterwards. But she says South Africa doesn't have the technology to engineer the vaccine. I said, what? Why would he make the request on the UN floor, or in at a summit, for them to do that if they didn't have that technology? And she said, well, what would it look like if we gave them the ingredient, and she said, we gave them the ingredient and they didn't have the technology to create the real vaccine, and that means they're going to be given bad vaccine. And so the lack of faith in African ingenuity just came out. I didn't say a word. I just listened, because I said, I'm going to have to do the research for myself. I'm going to have to be educated for myself. I don't take anybody's word for anything. I study. I have a friend that if you give him something, he's just going to blast it. He doesn't do research, doesn't do anything, and he just smashes everything from a post. I said, dude, did you study the post? Did you study the information from the post? Did you do the research? This is the internet. What do you use the internet for? Just to bash at people? Or do you use the internet to try to find some sense of truth? So I took a look so where Omicron spread. Now, the Western government went at South Africa and they restricted South Africa. There are restrictions on South Africa now. Where's that one at? There are restrictions on South Africa, right? Biden put restrictions on it, and so now South Africa is upset that you putting restrictions on our country because we feel like you interfering with our livelihood. Why? Because we found Omicron. Ooh, think about it. You're mad because we found a variant. And not only did we find a variant and we have vaccines, we can sit down and take a look at the variant, study the variant, research the variant, and create a booster shot that affects that variant. Right. Because if you don't have, there is no booster shot for Omicron. Well, Omicron, there's not one. So people going out getting double boosters like that's going to help you. It doesn't help you with a variant. It only helps you for COVID, unless there is a booster shot. And they're saying, and I haven't seen the medical research, and I will continue to do my research. Is there a booster shot that deals with the issue of Omicron? Right? Does that happen? Is that effective? Is that anywhere out there? That I would like to know, because then we can safely say, okay, if you get this booster shot, they say this is what it does. Then of course I'm gonna call my friends at the CDC and we're gonna find out. We're going to get the truth, because there's some truth that I know that I can't tell because I don't want nobody saying nothing to me. But if you call me, I'll give you all the truths you want. But yeah, there's ways there's certain information that you just can't share. You just got to know. And if you know some people and you want to talk about it, we'll talk. But there's certain things that cannot go on the air. That has to be one-on-one conversations. And I open myself to that. So if you ever see me and you want to have these conversations on what is the truth that I found out, that, when we have organizations that support something that have no factual basis on anything, ooh, you wonder. You got to ask questions. You got to. I come from a community that it is a sin not to study. It is a sin. It's an act against God not to continue to develop yourself. It's an act against God not to research. Why? Because science is how He communicates with us. Math is how He communicates with us. And so science and math and indulging in that and learning about that, that is how God is going to communicate with what's happening around us. It's not just a spiritual experience. I'm sorry. So they're mad at South Africa because South Africa wishes to step into the light of self-determination. And then when I didn't know in the conversation that I was having with my doctor friend that South Africa was the one who found the variant. And then because they found the variant and shared it with the world, now the rest of the world can see if the variant exists in their atmosphere because it was discovered in South Africa, and South Africa got put upon. Oh, you caused it. No, we didn't. We just noticed it. And so we're showing you how we learned about it. Now let's come up with an RNA vaccine that fights this one. Because if we have an original RNA vaccine that fights COVID, and this is a variant of COVID, then we can come up with a booster shot that deals with Omicron. Then there was another one before Omicron, right? And so how can we get to these variants? It's just like the flu. Every year the flu vaccine changes. And so they offer it to people. They offer it to you. Wow, let's talk about that. Because if you look at how many, and I need to, wait a minute. I need to research how many deaths happen due to the flu. Right? Death due to flu. All right, this is on, because this is on the spot. Sorry, you guys. A year. Let's do a year. Year. Let's see. We have 34,000 deaths a year due to the flu. 34,000 deaths. Okay, I can understand why they try to set a mandate, because the estimated deaths for 2018 and 19. No, we're talking about overall, right? But 34,000. It says 34,000 people died from the flu alone. So the flu changes. It's a variant. So they offer it to you. Why? Because you may or may not die from the flu. Now, what I do know that there was a antibiotic that they were given for the issue of what was it for COVID, right? And I can see if I can find this flu vaccine, and it was a back. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? And somebody sent it to me, and I researched it. I researched this particular antibiotic. I'm sorry, you guys. I reached this particular antibiotic, and when I researched the antibiotic, it was the same antibiotic used to kill Ebola. And they had to stop midstream because it said it killed the antibiotic, killed 50% of the people that was giving it to kill Ebola. It was killing, it was shutting people's organs down. It caused inflammation. It was causing all types of problems. Guess what was the antibiotic that they were using to treat COVID? The same antibiotic that failed when it was said it killed 50% of the people who took it for Ebola. I said, why are they giving this to people? Why are they giving this to people? And that was the research I did take. I said, man, I'm not. And I had called a friend, and she was in the hospital for COVID, and she had inflammation of her organs. And I said, what antibiotic they were giving you? And she had the same antibiotic. I said, tell them to stop giving you that antibiotic. And here's it. Let me see if I can find it, and I give you the names. I said, here is the antibiotic you should be getting. And so I don't have that name, and I wish I had the name. And you know what? We'll do this again because I didn't know the spirit was going to hit me, and I was going to move in this way. Right? And so the antibiotic, well, yeah, I can't find it. We're gonna focus on the story, right? So now that antibiotic was wrong, so that was the issue. They didn't want to tell you that, and so there was certain like Texas had an overflow of the correct antibiotic. They stocking up. This is why Texas never chose to shut down because we said we have the correct antibiotic to fight COVID. So we're gonna do our best to get this antibiotic out. When they come in, this is we gonna treat them. So Texas decided never to shut down, right? Because of and their doses, and I remember seeing that. I researched that, and I got to get this information to you. I didn't know I was gonna go here, so I didn't have that information ready for you because I thought it was South Africa. But there are things leading up to this understanding of what's happening in South Africa. So now, when you have the scenario where they're saying, "Wait a minute, we want to be able to be in full control of the things that we put in our own bodies." Wow, this is a government speaking to another government. Can we have full controls over what we put in our bodies? Give us the ingredient. Give the nations. If this is about saving lives, give it to us. And let us create our own vaccines and give it to our own people. Well, of course, they said it's about money because they didn't want somebody selling a cheaper version, is what I was told. A cheaper version of the vaccine to go around. We got to take a look at that. Right? So now they put restrictions on South Africa because South Africa is not just about, it didn't come from South Africa. They're showing the world that they have the technological ability to detect the variations of COVID. Ain't that something? They can detect the variations of COVID. And so they're saying, and so let me give this, we're gonna put this out so you can see this. And so listen to the what has happened and what is happening in South Africa at this time, while after this, while discovering the variant, and now after discovering the variant, they are in the process of trying to come up with the booster shot for the variant. Let's see what is in the news today.
It is actually due to the diligent testing in South Africa that has enabled us to pick the new variant, and we've picked it early, so which means we will be better able to address and control the spread. We then just need to manage how we send this information out to the people for them to not be too concerned.
Now, we want to make sure that now that we understand this, we're gonna sit down. We have this information. We need to immediately inform the community about what's going on and about how we're going, so that they're not alarmed, they're not scared, that they're not. It's not an issue of fear. Wow, it's not an issue of fear because fear causes people to panic. You can get people to spend money because of fear. A whole lot of things can happen due to fear. You can have people's minds controlled out of fear. Spirits bind it out of fear. That's why we posted earlier. It's not a fear in a variant or a virus because God created the body perfect. And we have foods and herbs that can heal us. And then we have the ingenuity of science. Don't live in fear. No. The only healthy fear you should have is a fear in God. And then you got to pray that fear in God is inside of every man. And it can seep into man. But and that's the thing. Fear of God very seldomly seeps into politics. But when you have people or in certain places, that fear is removed and it's saying we just want to inform. Let's go.
Dr. Portia Mutebetsi is one of South Africa's leading epidemiologists. She heads up a team tasked with monitoring the emergence of new COVID-19 variants.
I felt proud to be South African because it showed that our lab diagnostics are really up to speed. They're really at the level that you see in the developed world. None of that was really put in the forefront in terms of celebrating the achievements that South Africa had in actually detecting this virus.
Wow. Now, I'm sorry to pick this apart, but there's certain things that are giving you a Pan-African perspective. You didn't say we detected it and we study variants of COVID. So if something comes, if a virus comes, we'll see it, we'll find it, we'll notify the world. And what we wanted was the credit as being South Africa, a third world country, saying that we have the ingenuity to be able to detect what the Western world could not or did not. And if they did, they didn't say it. If they did, they didn't say it. Our numbers went up and they still got you thinking it's COVID. Ain't that something? And they saying no, COVID is manifesting into a lot of different variants. And the second variant, the Delta, said was even more worse than COVID. Well, okay. Well, they alarming these booster shots they're asking you to go get. Does the booster shot adjust the changes of the variant? If so, then why the numbers going up? Talk about it. Come on. Think about it. South Africa only wanted to be seen as a country telling everybody that we have the technology that can help the world, along with what everybody else is doing. We want to be at that table, but they did not get that. What they got is finger pointed, shaking, saying, "You did it." No, it didn't. It didn't. It wasn't here first. We just discovered it before everybody else and immediately announced it. Let's go. Listen.
Looking at the reaction that South Africa got, is there a world where maybe it would have been better that you didn't say anything?
It's interesting that you ask that question, and we've been getting it a lot within the community that wouldn't have been better for you to keep quiet. But I'm going to take you back to the onset of this pandemic. China in Wuhan discovered this virus, and for a good 3 weeks, they did not announce publicly that, we are seeing a new virus. By that time, the infections had spread, people were still flying, people were still visiting other countries. So what would have happened if we hadn't said that we've discovered this Omicron variant? It would have spread. And at the end of the day, we would have lost more lives. So in as much as we had a huge backlash in terms of the new variant, what we did was actually noble.
More than 30 countries, including the US, have issued travel bans against countries in southern Africa, even though the Omicron variant has already been detected around the world. The World Health Organization warned against blanket travel bans based on politics and not science.
With a virus that is truly borderless, travel restrictions that isolate any one country or region are not only deeply unfair and punitive, they are ineffective.
The same Western nations now closing their borders are partly to blame for the emergence of the new variant. Vaccine hoarding delayed the rollout of vaccines in South Africa by at least 6 months, creating an environment for new mutations to emerge.
I just got that. Vaccine hoarding delayed South Africa from getting anything. Wow. Governments are vaccine hoarding. And so not only that, it allowed other variants to develop because we couldn't control this one. Ain't that something? Let's go.
Ordered more vaccines than their populations required. And when we wanted vaccines, they just kept, giving us the crumbs from their table.
As booster shot programs ramp up elsewhere, only 7.5% of people in Africa are fully vaccinated. And South Africa is actually ahead of the curve. Just over 25% of South Africans are fully vaccinated, and health authorities say they finally have a full supply of vaccines. Just not enough people who want them.
Hello?
We sat in on a meeting with COVID skeptics, all of whom are refusing the vaccine.
My understanding is that all of you here, one common thing that has gotten you together is that you actually don't believe that the COVID-19 virus is real.
Well, I would put it slightly differently, if I may, that we believe that no proof has been put to us to the existence of the virus. We are saying that those who have claimed that the virus exists has not provided us any proof of such at the moment.
We need your help. We want...
South African anti-vaxxer groups are small, but they're loud. And this group has filed a court case against the government, demanding proof of the virus.
By virtue of us being African, do you understand? The idea of these governments exploiting us and the idea of the governments conspiring against us, it's not a strange thing. We have gone in this country to apartheid, where the government was conspiring against the people.
Yes.
And you must remember, and scientists, during apartheid, scientists were conspiring against the people. So what I'm saying is, we as Africans, that's why there is so reluctance for us to take this vaccine here.
The purpose of people being vaccinated now is not to stop any virus. That's a lie. Is to make your body a battery. And this battery is going to charge the chips that they are going to chip you with.
If the vaccines were manufactured right here on this beautiful continent of Africa, what would be your reaction be?
From my perspective, I'm not anti-vax. I don't think anybody is anti-vax. Generally, a vaccination takes between 10 and 15 years to produce. It starts off with experiments on rats or rodents. The issue here is that firstly, this process has been sidestepped.
What would have been the best way to deal with this pandemic?
Science.
If I were the person in charge, I would not do anything that this government did. Zero.
What would you do?
What I would have done is I would have allowed people to live their lives as normal.
Health experts here say that lack of faith in the government has contributed to vaccine hesitancy. But many here believe in science and in South Africa's potential.
That is one of the positive things that's come out of this pandemic, is that it's shown us that if we want to have something and get something done, we need to do it ourselves.
Afrigen Biologics and Vaccines is the first company in Africa designated by the World Health Organization as a technology transfer hub, a kind of test pilot aimed at proving that vaccines can be both developed and manufactured in Africa, rather than coming from abroad.
What we're driving towards is to be able to not have to rely on the UK or the US. We want to be able to have that capacity and have that capability. And we as a continent, I believe we have that research know-how.
How does the process work of tweaking like an existing mRNA vaccine to deal with the new variant, in this case with Omicron?
That's the great thing about mRNA vaccines, is that tweaking it doesn't take a lot of time. And the only thing that you need really is the sequence of the Omicron variant. And once that spike protein sequence has been confirmed, you can just put it straight into your process and develop an mRNA vaccine directly for the Omicron variant.
How important is it that the African continent is able to manufacture their own vaccines?
It is very important, and it doesn't just have to do with pandemics, because we will be having pandemics, more of them in the future. So for diseases such as HIV, Ebola, malaria, that are mainly impacting Africa, that is where we want to then take this and drive it, because we want to be able to make vaccines that are specific for the African continent.
Vaccines made strictly for the African continent. If you heard the brothers talk about South Africa and said how science was against the people during apartheid, and how they used science and medicine against the people during apartheid, the same way we talk about the Tuskegee experiment here, and then the issue of black women. Doctors are to black women the same way cops are to black men. Ain't that something? So the Pan-African perspective here is the issue of complete self-determination. Going through this scenario in a situation where the world is suffering, the globe is suffering. This shouldn't, if countries are for real about real health, you would allow African people what they need to make sure that they can take care of themselves. They talk about, African medical hubs, having the technology to produce. If you have the technology to find the variant, we should have also the technology and the assistance to be able to produce mRNA vaccines. And as she said, if and they don't have, that's the thing, they won't give the information that they have on the COVID vaccine to anybody else. Only America can have it. America, or maybe Europe, where they're giving you what they want in the vial. Can we know what's in the vial, please, rather than you just telling me this is an antidote? It's a vaccination. Can we have the ingredients and take a look at the ingredients and create something that is built for the African genotype? That's when you're trying to save people. The sister said, we told, regardless of the backlash, we told the world that there was another variant out there other than the Delta. And there will be more coming, because you have multiple flus. We're going to tell you immediately, because that you could immediately plan against it. We're going to show you what it looks like and where it is, so that you can put this in the next mRNA vaccine. Now, I'm not telling you to take it, and I'm not telling you not to take it. I'm telling you to be informed. I'm telling you to make sure that you exist in the space where you feel like you are self-determined over your own body. You don't function out of a state of fear, but you function out of the state of faith. With that, let the African in you rise. Where's my exit? Where's my exit music? Exit! See you later.